Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to discuss the Managed Care Organizational Self-Assessment and really turn it over to the folks who are on the line joining us today to answer questions about the OSA. So this is really your time to ask us any outstanding questions that you have before our submission deadline on October 12th. So I'm just going to quickly orient us again to the WebEx system. So as you all know, you are currently muted, but we're actually going to open the line. So we have a pretty small group on the webinar today. So we're actually going to give you all the opportunity to ask us questions directly from your phone lines. So you can, if you are not already connected to the audio conference, you can do so by calling into the audio conference line and entering the access code. So that's found in your confirmation email. And then also there's a little info, a circle on the top left of your screen that should provide meeting information. So this will also be an opportunity for you to call in and ask those questions if you are not already connected to the audio. We have a couple of slides today just to review and remind you of some of the logistics around the Managed Care Organizational Self-Assessment, and then we'll briefly review the timeline as well during today's call. And so you're joined by me, Brianna Gonsalves, and as well as Dr. Andy Cleek, and we are from the Managed Care Technical Assistance Center. I have been in communication with many of you, so I appreciate your patience and your thoughtfulness and your questions that have been coming in around this OSA. Again, here just a quick look at what we're going to be, how we're going to be starting today's conversation, walking through logistics again briefly as we did in our last webinar last week, and then reviewing the timeline and next offerings, and then jumping into Q&A. Okay, so logistics and recommendations. So at this point, everyone should have received their unique organizational link to the MIC OSA. If you did not receive it, please email mictac.info@nyu.edu. We'll put up that email address shortly, and I will respond within 24 hours with the link to your Managed Care Organizational Self-Assessment. Before you begin, we strongly encourage you to review the instruction sheet that is provided as well, that has been sent out through emails, as well as during our last webinar, we included it in our chat box. So if you are interested in accessing it and don't have it bookmarked just yet, also please feel free to email us. We strongly encourage you to complete the organizational self-assessment as a team. In the instructions guide, we do lay out some key people who we think would really help out in this process. So you can look there and really organize yourselves around the suggestions that we make in the instructions guide. And lastly, we do have a hard copy version of the organizational self-assessment available online as well. So that has been circulated as well via email. If you do not have that copy, please feel free to email mictac.info and I'll send that over to you. Other survey logistics, so you are able to save your work as you go along in completing the survey. The questions, there are a few question types. We have multiple choice, yes, no questions, a couple text box questions, as well as a 1 to 5 scale to determine your readiness in a couple different areas. All of the questions on the survey are enforced, so you will need to respond to them before submitting. And then submission will take place again via the Qualtrics platform. So at the very end of the survey, after the 11 domains have been completed, you will just press submit, and then you'll get a quick message on your screen that shows that you have successfully completed the survey. You do not get a confirmation email, so if you are at all concerned that you did not successfully submit your survey, you can also email us at mictac.info, and I will respond whether or not you did successfully complete it and submit it. So again, the submission deadline is October 12th. That's Friday of next week. At the end, we will be doing an analysis of all of the data that we have collected over the past few weeks. Each organization will receive an individualized report, and then we'll also provide an aggregate results webinar in November. So, and as a reminder, the individualized reports will be shared with our state partners since this is connected to the critical access provider additional funding. And here you will see the mctac.info email address once again. Okay, and then a quick review of the timeline where we've been. We'll start on the 24th. Well, really it was September 25th. So again, thanks for your patience and flexibility in that. We sent out the individualized links to each organization's managed care organizational self-assessment. Last week, we hosted the tips for completing the MIC OSA webinar. As a reminder, this is a mandatory activity for critical access providers. So if you have not had the opportunity to view it, please email mctac.info as well, and we will make sure you have that link. We sent out an email yesterday as well to the CAP community with the link to the training and PowerPoint slides. Today is October 4th, and we are hosting office hours. The deadline for submission, again, is next Friday, October 12th. At the end of October, everyone will have received their individualized reports, and then we'll offer continued TA opportunities targeted to the critical areas of importance that we've identified through the survey throughout November. And then there is a deadline of December 31st for all organizations to submit their strategic plan. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to all of you to submit your questions. You can do this either through the chat box feature, which you can activate on the bottom of your screen right below the PowerPoint slides by clicking on the dialog bubble, or you can unmute yourself and we will respond to your questions. And I will also encourage everyone, if you don't have any questions today, and you might hear a siren in the background, so I'll just pause for a quick second. We're in New York City, so it's noisy. But if you don't, yeah, feel free to email us questions following the webinar as well if a thought comes to you post today's webinar. But I think I heard someone jumping on.
Yeah, we have a question. We received the link back on September 25th from on behalf of MCTAC, but when we go click on the link, it says that it's expired already.
Okay.
So we're not quite sure now how to go about and fill it out online.
Yes, so thank you so much for bringing that up. So this goes for everyone. If that does happen to you, please email mctac.info and we will generate a new link for you. So that has sometimes to do with some firewalls, and unfortunately some folks have been experiencing that issue, but we have a remedy of being able to generate a new link very quickly.
So what's the turnaround? So if I just emailed them, I should be able to get something within the next day or so?
Exactly, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so a question that has been submitted. What is the difference between the Managed Care Community of Practice OSA that was due yesterday and the MIC OSA that is due October 12th? So the Managed Care Community of Practice OSA, which was due yesterday, was targeted to providers who serve the IDD provider population. We work closely with the OPWDD system, who is also transitioning soon to managed care. So we have been going through a very similar process with them to really assist and provide technical assistance to all providers, organizations. So if you received both the OSA from the managed care community of practice as well as from MCTAC, we do encourage you to submit responses to both. The surveys are very similar. About 85% of the questions on the MCCOP OSA are also found on this OSA, but there are a few unique questions on this OSA that we'd strongly encourage you to submit, and we are very interested in the community's responses to them. So there are some minor differences, but the real purpose of both is to provide us with the information to provide the best technical assistance we can following the OSA.
And this is Claire Rudolph with the Office of Mental Health. I just want to add on to, that was a great answer, Brianna. And also from the Office of Mental Health perspective, you will need to complete the MCOSA in order to receive the critical access provider payment. The COP OSA is not enough to receive that payment.
Thank you so much, Claire. Any other questions? Well, as folks think about any other questions they may have, I'll just quickly move on to our next slide, which again highlights our mctac.info email address. I also highlight the mctacny.org website, where you will also find some of the tools and resources that we link to in our instructions guide. They really help to really answer any questions you might have around the transition, as well as there's access to a glossary that will help you find any terms that you might not be familiar with. But we'll wait a couple more minutes to see if anyone has any more questions. Okay. All right. Well, I will thank everyone for joining today's webinar. Again, if you have any questions, please email us at mctac.info@nyu.edu, and we will respond to them as quickly as possible. Oh.
And sorry, this is Claire Rudolph again with OMH. We're happy to stay on for a couple more minutes too, in case other folks do end up hopping on if they had a meeting run over, or if anyone thinks of any questions. So we're happy to stay on, you know, for another couple of minutes as well.
Okay, great. We'll stay on with you. If anyone has just joined us, we are waiting for questions to be submitted, so please feel free to submit your questions via chat or by asking us through your phone lines. We have opened them. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to leave the webinar running until 3 p.m. So that folks know that they can email any remaining questions to ctac.info@nyu.edu. But for right now, we're going to stop recording the webinar, and we will leave the presentation up, but we will be signing off. So thanks again for joining us.